Ooh, that looks tasty. Some say there are players who like story in their games. If you're one of those, this is on you. You made me do this. Here we go. Let's get some lore. The continent of Atlantis is vast, and right in the middle of the vastness, just as you might expect, is a volcano. Now, over time, there was stuff that happened, but really what you need to know is now. Now, all that's left are two powerful thrones that spit out a bunch of minions that are constantly going to war. What do you do when there's a place like that? Get your heroes, you march out there, and you kick some butt. And yeah, every one of these heroes has some kind of higher calling or whatever, matter of honor, search for knowledge, but really, nah, no one cares. They're all just in it for the sweet, sweet booty. Welcome folks, The Hungry Gamer is back with another Kickstarter preview. And today we are talking about Guards of Atlantis 2. Now, as you can tell from the title, this is the sequel to Guards of Atlantis, which was a board game, MOBA game that was released a year or two ago, and this is their coming Kickstarter follow-up that changes the rules, gives some new characters, and streamlines the play a little bit. Now, before I go any further, I do need to say that this is a prototype. Everything out here is subject to change. I will also say it is huge. And what is mostly changing are the ability cards. I'll say this Sabina the Gunslinger that I have out here, I've played in the online Tabletopia with some people, and many of these cards have actually already completely changed, but I'll still be able to show you how this works. Now, Guards of Atlantis 2 is, as I've already said, a MOBA game. You will be selecting a hero and playing with other people who have their own heroes, and you'll be joining into teams and you'll be battling it out on this map. And there are various minions out there that will be battling it out also, but very, very low maintenance as far as those go. And you'll be taking the minions out to get fat loot, which will let you upgrade yourself. Now, if you are not at all interested in how this game works, then you want to jump ahead to my final thoughts, you're going to go to the timestamp on the screen right now. For those of us still here, let's talk about what it is that you see before you. I have this game set up as a 4-player game. I have 2 teams here. I have my blue team and my red team. And you'll see I have Arian, the Tide Master here. Oops, who came out of his base. I have Rogan the Destroyer right here, who also was coming out of his base. I have Sabina the Gunslinger here. And I have Tiger Claw the Cutpurse here. And in the middle, like as I said, we have all the minions. On the sides, we have the player boards, and on top of that, we have their decks of cards. We have, each player has their ultimate ability, which I'll just put to the side. They have their gold ability, which is an attack that they always have. They have their silver, mostly defensive ability that they always have. Then they start with a single red, green, and blue card as well. And these red, green, and blue cards are ones that will be getting upgraded as you play through the game. And every player has those. I won't bother showing you all of them. Over here we have the coins that you can collect. As you kill minions, you gain coins. This right here is the tiebreaker marker. Right now, if there's a tie, it goes to red. Every time a tie is broken, you then switch. Over here, we have our various push counters. This is a timer for the end of the game. If all 5 of these are ever gone, then the game will end where it is. I'll explain pushes a little bit. Up here, we have the life counters. As heroes get killed, it takes varying amounts of energy to respawn them. If this ever runs out completely, then that team has lost. There are a couple types of minions in the middle. It doesn't matter too much what they do, but I'll give you the basics. We have, on the blue side, we have the Big Boss Minion. The Big Boss Minion, the other side's Big Boss Minion. The Big Boss Minion cannot be hurt until all the other minions of that color in the battle zone, which is delineated by those lines there, are defeated. And when they are defeated, all the minion battlefield will push to the next zone. That'll make sense in a little bit. Then we have ranged minions. There's for the orange. And here is for the blue. And then the others are just standard melee minions, and I'll explain a little bit about them shortly. The game is played in a series of rounds, and in each round, each player gets 4 turns. Each turn they play 1 card out of their hand, and once that card is played, it winds up sitting on the mat all the way until all 4 slots have been filled. Once all 4 slots are filled, you resolve the minion battle, and that's just very simple. You add up how many blue minions there are, how many red minions there are. Whoever has more wins that fight. So for example, if we were here, red has 2 more minions than the blue does. And so blue would then have to take away 2 minions off of their side to represent that their minions are losing. And it would be their choice as to which to. If at some point you wind up with no minions on the board, then you have the push. In this case, red defeated blue in that, so then all the minions would then respawn over here in the next zone, closer to the other team's spawn point, their gate, their fortress as it were. And you'll notice that this means that the closer you get to the other team's base, the more minions that they have. So you actually wind up with an advantage the closer you get to the other team's base. If you ever get a push all the way into the base, the game ends and your team has won. And the last thing that I'll say about minions for the moment is when you defeat them, all the minions are worth 2, unless, of course, you defeat one of the big boss minions, in which case it is worth 4. And again, a reminder, if you kill one of the boss minions immediately, there is a push. And again, every time there's a push, you remove 1 of those. Now I'm going to set these back here in the center, and we'll talk about the main part of the game, which is your hero play. So what will happen at the beginning of each turn is each hero will pick one of their abilities and they will play it face down, which everyone has selected. Now, I will also point out that this is the only time that you can communicate with your team. You can talk about, oh, I think I'm going to try to go take out the minions over there. I'm going to try to take out the hero. We should do this. You can talk in general terms. Once these cards are flipped, you cannot say anything. So you flip over, and I'll go ahead and just grab one from another hero over here so we can compare. And what you have are a couple of symbols on these cards. First off, up in the corner, we have the initiative. The higher the number, the more likely it is that you will go first. If there's a tie, you go to your tiebreaker, flip it over, and that person gets to go first. On each card, you have symbols along the side. There's a shield number, and that's the potential defensive value. I'll talk about that in a minute. Usually you have boots, that's how far you can move. So for example, Brogan here, if he plays this one, he could simply move 1, 2, as he chooses. Then down here, it tells you it's a skill with an area effect. This tells you how big the area effect is. It is within 2 hexes of him. And if you choose to use the skill when you play the card, then that is what happens down on the bottom. So in this case, if I played that, I could move 2, or I could do what is written on the bottom. I can't do both. At the same time, if you are in a zone that has no other enemy models in it, then you can do what is called a fast travel. So if I was, say, right here, I could just play that, and I could move anywhere within that zone. In addition to that, I can move anywhere in a zone immediately next to it. So from right here, I can move anywhere here. I can move anywhere over here or anywhere here as my movement. It's a fast travel mechanic. If there was an enemy there somehow, I could not fast travel there, but I could still fast travel over there. That's kind of your way to get back in the fight when you get defeated. Now, I also talked about this defensive value. Let's see how that works. So let us just assume that we had this going on right here with Sabina and Brogan right there. And let's say that Sabina played this quick draw. Well, she has her initiative of 8. When it comes her turn, she's going to choose to use her attack down at the bottom. Has an attack value here, so she's attacking for 4. But then she can look at this bonus here. If Brogan had played a red attack card or his gold attack card, this would now be a 6 attack. In this case, he did not. He played this shield card. So now, Brogan is going to die. One hit, you're dead, unless he is able to defend himself. And so that is where your hand of cards and your defensive value comes into place. So if this was early in the game, and Brogan had played his shield card, and he's hit with this attack, well, now he has a choice. He can discard a card from his hand to defend against that. He's taking 4 damage, so if he discards this card here that has a 6 on it, he has defended against the attack, and he is fine. If he can't meet or beat that number, he is defeated, and he goes back to his gate at the beginning, and you lose life based on what level that you are. I'll talk about leveling up in a minute. And also, Sabina, for killing him, would get coins based on the level he is, and everyone else on her team would also get a lesser amount of coins. I'm not going to go into the details of that, but just know that the higher level a hero you kill, the more coins you and your teammates will get. Now, the last thing that I need to tell you about is leveling up. Leveling up is very simple. As you kill minions and you kill your opponents, you wind up getting coins. And the way you use coins is quite simple. At the end of a phase, after you've gone through all 4 turns and there has been the push, if there is one, there may not be a push. If it's tied, it'll stay right there. You have to look at, and you see down here, to get your first level 2 card, it costs 1 coin. The second one is 2 more coins. The third one is 3 more coins. So to get all 3 of your level 2 cards, you would need 6 coins. Highly unlikely, but potentially possible. And at the end of the round, if you are able to level up, you must do it. You do not have a choice. So let's say that Brogan here, he finished with 2 coins. Well, that is enough for him to level up 1 time. So he would trade in 2, he would get his 1 change, good for him, and then he would level up. And so how leveling up works is you're going to wind up taking one of the cards that you already have and you're going to throw it away. So let's just say, for the sake of argument, I'm going to get rid of this Vicious Jab card. I'm done with it, I discard it from the game, and then I look at the 2 level 2 green cards that I have. You have 2 blues, 2 greens, and 2 reds of each level after level 1. The highest level is level 3. And you pick the one that you want. So we'll say I decided I want Shield Bash. That's my new green card, would come into my hand. And this other one down at the bottom, there is an ability there, which says +1 attack. I take that, I turn it over, and I would slot it underneath my mat. Now you can't see it very well here because of the prototype, but you'll see it says attack, and now I have an attack bonus listed right there. All of my attacks now get a +1 on them. And you can get initiative bonuses, you can get defense bonuses, and various other bonuses. If you get all the way up to the top here, meaning you spent 3, 6, 10, 21, 28 coins total, then you get to unlock your level 4, which is a static ability that just makes you really, really powerful. And so that's it. On the surface, that's not a lot that you have to remember. The core of the game comes as you're playing these cards and you're trying to predict what other players are going to do as you and they are moving around, and you are trying to take out minions as quickly as you can without getting yourself killed at the same time. And if you play your cards right, then you outnumber them enough to where all their minions are wiped out and you get a push. Because really the fastest way to win is to get pushes into their gate. And so the strategy of the game comes with, how do you manage that? Do you want to try to attack your opponent and maybe take them out, or at the very least make them discard one of their cards that they're using they might need? Maybe you have some kind of ability and they have to discard 2 cards. And if you're lucky, at the end of the round, suddenly they don't have any cards left and maybe you don't kill them, but suddenly they don't have a card to play and they can't do anything, or they can't do anything effective because the cards are also your life. Because remember, if you take one hit that you don't defend, you are out and you respawn all the way back here on your next turn. And any cards that you haven't played yet, oh well, stinks to be you, they are gone. So what do I like about this game? First of all, I really do enjoy the artwork. The artwork on these cards, and again, you can't see it all that well because these are just kind of printed on cardstock almost. You can't really see the art very well because the final art will pop a little bit more, but you can kind of get the idea. Like, there's so much there and it looks so good. And these minis, and again, these are just prototypes, but these 3D printed prototypes are very cool. They're only going to look better in the final version, I think. I think the board has a wonderful presence. It is huge, but it does look very good. I like the overall simplicity of the game. I love the fast movement mechanic as you're just popping out and jumping to different places on the board, which becomes part of the strategy as you're playing. You're talking, so, oh, if you can just take out that one minion here, we'll get a push immediately, and then I can come in and I can loop around the edge and I can flank them or try to get around behind them or whatever it's going to be. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful mechanic that's been added to the game. I love how easy it is to level up, and more importantly, I love that you have to level up. It keeps the game moving, and it doesn't let you try to hoard coins, get some big, huge hit, or try to save up all your coins so you're not worth very many coins yourself until suddenly, poof, you use them all. As I said, it just keeps the game cooking. I also like that the way these characters are created in their decks, they all have personality. You heard in the intro that there really isn't a lot of lore to this. And that is by design the game. But you can really tell your stories with these characters. You play them and you see, oh, well, this is how this character plays. You look at the character and the way it looks really is how it plays. And along with that, now this is just 4 characters. I think in the demo copy that I have maybe 20 different characters. I actually have more than 20 characters in this demo. Now, that does represent all of the potential characters that you might be able to get through expansions and stretch goals that are testing out, but still, it is so many. You see those 4, then we have all these other characters, you know, the Silver Arrow, the Skirmisher, Ursifar, the Savage, Zargotha, the Change, and we'll skip through here, Garrus, the Gladiator, and there's just the Airship Captain, and they're just so very cool as you flip through. It's just very, very cool, and I spent so much time just looking through the characters, trying to decide which ones I wanted to just try. Awesome. I love the way that the communication works in the game, that it's just straight up, you can't talk about things, you can talk a little bit, but then you have to develop this symbiosis almost as you're working with your teammate, trying to figure out the best plan. And you get to talk a little bit, but it's just great. And again, it keeps the pace of the game up because you're not sitting there planning forever, trying to come up with the perfect move. I like the various ways of ending the game. You can end it by killing everybody. You can end it by just annihilating their fort. Or I even like that it is set up to where if you are at a stalemate, that's fine. It will end by pushes. And the last thing that I will say is I really like how the minions work. I think for me in the MOBA board games that I've played, the most challenging thing can be the minions, because the minions can start to feel like a chore because you're just moving them and figuring out how they attack. And some games do it very well. Others just remove it completely and you kind of lose part of that MOBA vibe by removing it. But this one, you know where they go, they're there, they're not going to do anything. I mean, yes, I didn't mention this, but if you are next to a melee allied minion, you get a bonus to your defense, and if you're next to a opposing one, you get a negative to your defense, and the range one gives you, yeah, they're there, they do a little bit, which helps add to the strategy of the game, but not that much, which makes it easy to manage. You look at the end, okay, they got more, whoosh, whoosh, take a few away, up, they're all gone, push. And along with that, this thing that if you are able to take out big minion, it's an immediate push, but that's a new strategy because if you remember, the closer you get to the gate, the more defenders there are and the fewer attackers there are. So if you kill the big minion on turn 4, you're going to push there and immediately you're going to be losing that battle and you're going to lose some of your minions. So it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. And then the last thing I'll throw out, and I don't usually throw this out, is this is a game that is intended for at least 4 players. Yes, you can play it one-on-one, each person take at least 2 heroes, but the game is not intended to be that way. The open communication is part of the game and listening to what your opponents are saying and not knowing exactly what's going on. So the designer actually specifically does not want the game played with only 2. You certainly can, and it would just be a different game. But because the game is intended for 4, I think they have another map that's going to go up to 10 players. You got 5-on-5, and the situation of shelter in place, the game showed up and we were sheltering in place. And this is not a type of game that my wife is particularly interested in playing. So suddenly I was unable to get anybody together. But Guards of Atlantis 2 has an incredible online Tabletopia community of players. And I think a lot of them are playtesters and the designers are present. But so I just went on there and I joined the Discord. I said, hey, does someone want to show me how to play? And so I was like, yeah, I'll do that. And he took the time, he explained it to me in Tabletopia, and then we played a few rounds, so I got the hang of it. And then immediately he found a game, and I was playing a game. And the next day I was playing another game with new characters. And I could log on right now this second if I wanted to stop the review and play another one if I wanted. And I think that's awesome. That for a game that needs a lot of players, one of the things I will often complain about is it's hard to get to the table. But now, even if for some reason you can't get 4, you can almost always find people to play with online as well. Now, I will say it is so much more satisfying playing with these. Now, what are my quibbles about the game? Well, some of them I've alluded to a little bit already. The first one is the characters are so very different, which is a very good thing. However, it does make it a little bit harder to jump in and play because you just have no idea what your character does, but you also have no idea what their characters do, and you need to know what their characters do to have any chance of winning. And so one of the things that I hope they're going to do, and I believe they are, is on the back of the player boards there'll be a little bit of tactics and strategy and the story behind the characters and kind of the bullet points of what they do. And if that is there, that will just make it so much easier because then you can just look at these, flip them over and say, oh, yep, that's what I want. And then before you play, you can just kind of pass them all around and say, okay, that's what you're doing now. I know what's going on. But this game is a lot going on and you have to know what the other characters do or you're not going to have a chance to win. I will also say that it is a pretty long game. Now, keep in mind, when playing on Tabletopia, the games all do take longer because you're clicking and dragging, and fair enough. But they're not short games. This is not a game to just pull out in the evening after dinner before you watch TV. Like, if you're going to pull this out, it's a commitment. So, again, that's not a bad thing. It's just something to keep in mind. This is not a quick skirmish game. It's not a complicated skirmish game, but it is going to take you some time to play. And then the final thing that I'm going to throw out is this is a mastery kind of game. If you are playing against somebody who knows what they're doing or a team who knows what they're doing, you are probably going to lose when you're first starting out. And that is because there's so many variables you do have to track. The gameplay is simple. But knowing what all the characters do and how they interact and picking characters that mesh well, like all of that is part of the game and part of the fun and part of the strategy. But until you know that strategy, you don't know that strategy. So, and again, like with the length of the game, I put that in the quibbles, not because it's a bad thing, just because it is something to be aware of. You're going to have to play 3-4 times before you really are able to start enjoying this game fully. And that is certainly something that I would recommend that you do. So There you have it, folks. That is Guards of Atlantis 2. And for those of you who know me personally, you know that I'm not actually a huge fan of MOBA games. And the reason that I asked to review this is because one of my favorite podcasts, So Very Wrong About Games, have been waxing poetic about Guards of Atlantis 1 and then Guards of Atlantis 2 for forever. And while I don't always agree with their choice in games, I have been intrigued about this game since then, and let me tell you, it did not disappoint. I think this is a game that I'm going to be sad that I have to ship it off to somebody. I'm going to be sad that I haven't gotten a chance to play it with 5 other people, and I will really be looking forward to my copy arriving when it does. And speaking of, I have zero doubt in my mind that this is going to fund and is going to crush its goal. I think if you like MOBA games, if you like tactical combat games, then there are not many that are better than this one. Yes, it's a time commitment. Yes, you're going to be overwhelmed with options. And if you get everything, oh my gosh, there's so much here. But I don't think you're going to be disappointed. I think this is a game that will keep giving back and becoming better and better the more that you play it. And I have also no doubt in my mind that they will continue to come out with stuff to support this game. I can't express enough how passionate the fan base is for this game. So, there you have it, folks. That is Guards of Atlantis 2. I'm actually really excited about this one. I think it's, if any of that sounds like your jam, then you need to check this one out. There will be a link in the description just as soon as I have it to the Kickstarter or where you can get more information. As always, if I made any mistakes in that description at the beginning, again, it was not comprehensive, just the basics, please let me know with a comment and a timestamp. I'll get that into the Klingon subtitles. As always, if this was useful, please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you all so very much for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.